The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Uh, Good morning, everyone. This is Rajesh Gawande, First Secretary from the Embassy of India. Let me begin by apologizing to everyone. I think because of a technical issue, you are not able to see me, but I hope I am loud and clear. Let me take this opportunity to thank and welcome Shrimati Neetu Sharma. She is the Secretary of Infrastructure and Industrial Development Board of the state of UP, and she is also the CEO of Invest UP. I would also like to welcome and thank Mr. Sharma from Boson Energy, which is a waste management company. They have a plant in Kanpur, and they would be sharing their experience with us. So the purpose of today's webinar is to enlighten all the participants on the opportunities that exist in the state of UP, along with the incentives that the government of UP is giving and also letting you know the priority areas which the government of UP has identified in terms of investment promotion. Overall, at the national level, there are priorities which have been identified, and these priorities emanate from India's commitments to the Paris Agreement and to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Therefore, these priority areas exist in the area of climate-friendly infrastructure, clean energy, environment protection, water management, waste management, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, I would like to request Secretary Sharma to inform all the participants upon what the state of UP, what are the priorities of the state of UP and what it is doing in terms of its own incentive program for investors. Over to you, Ms. Sharma.
Yeah, am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, a very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank the Indian Embassy in Germany for providing us this window to connect to all of you through this webinar and to seek and explore all the investment opportunities in the state of Uttar Pradesh. I would like to thank Dr. Rajesh Gawande, the first secretary of the embassy, to introduce me in the beginning. As you know, UP is almost a microcosm of India. We're almost 1/6 of the country. And if my presentation could be switched on, then I think we can go ahead with making the presentation. But at the beginning of it, I would request all the listeners to raise their queries in the chat box. I and my team, we would be more than happy to simultaneously reply to them. Please let me know when the presentation is visible to all of you.
Panji, I have made you presenter, so you can share your screen now.
He's doing it. He's doing it.
Okay. Yes, we all can see the screen. Yes.
Yes. So as you can see in the first slide, we've just tried to put in the maps of both the geographical areas of both the place. On the left-hand side, we have the state of Uttar Pradesh, which is one amongst the other states of India. And on the other side, we have the map of Germany. Next slide, please. Now, if you see in a snapshot, the kind of relationships that we've had with Germany till now, our total FDI inflow and outflow can be seen in this map. And India and Germany is the 7th largest foreign direct investor in India. Total FDI in India from April 2000 to June 2019, they amounted to about 10.58 billion euros. And the key sectors in which we have had the FDI from Germany primarily include automobile service sector, and they're followed by trade, electrical equipment, drugs, and pharma, etc. You know, the major imports from Germany that we have are basically machinery, electro technology, metallurgy products, metal products, and chemicals. While we have been traditionally exporting textiles, metal and metal products. Sir, hello. Yeah, please excuse me, sir. Sir, I'm in the middle of a VC with German embassy, sir. I'll get back to you. Sorry for the botherance. My boss actually rang up. So we have been traditionally exporting to Germany electro technology, leather products, and metal and metal products, etc. So there are around 1,700 German companies which are active in India, and about 600 Indo-German joint ventures are in operation here. Next slide, please. Now, Uttar Pradesh is one of the states which is the 6th largest state in terms of population. We have 1/6 of India living in UP actually. And if you see it country-wise, we are the 6th largest country in the world in terms of population. So that is the magnitude that we are talking about. That kind of a population actually resides in UP. We are the 2nd largest economy in India. And with a population of 28 to 30 million, we are the 3rd highest visited state in India in terms of foreigners' visits. Next slide, please. So it is, as I've said earlier, that we have a very large consumer base in India with a large population size, with a working age population of about 135 million. And exactly almost the opposite to that of Germany, we have a lot of rural population in Uttar Pradesh, which is 77%. A lot of rural India is primarily agrarian, and we have a whole lot of scope for rapid industrialization in the state. So our GDP, if you compare, there is no comparison. We have a lot to achieve and a lot to go ahead. And the average wage cost in UP is around 115 euros, which is very competitive as a labor force for any industrialist. Next slide. So in terms of infrastructure, we have a lot of MSMEs in the state, which can provide a very good ancillary base to any sector. We have Asia's largest international airport, which is coming up in Jewar in Noida in Uttar Pradesh, and which is scheduled to be grounded by and operationalized by 2023. Apart from that, we are the largest market to textiles and the 2nd largest producer of leather products in India. Apart from that, we are energy surplus, and we have a lot of agricultural resources. We have, as I told you, primarily 77% agrarian and a rural population in India. In terms of mobile production, we are the #1 state, and still we have a lot of investment in the mobile sector coming into the state. A lot of opportunities in the defense sector. We had the Defense Expo last year, which the government of India actually did in Uttar Pradesh, and we are coming up with an industrial defense corridor also in Bundelkhand of Uttar Pradesh. So we have the largest, Uttar Pradesh stands out as the largest exporter of the consumer electronics, and we are amongst the top six exporters in terms of many products in India. Next slide, please. So if you see, if I tell you something about Uttar Pradesh, about the connectivity, we are in a place, situated in a place where we link the heart of the capital, the national capital of the country, to the eastern part of India, and even to the southern part of India. So if you see that we are actually at the crossroad of the eastern and the western dedicated freight corridors, And we have a whole lot of expressways in the areas which provides good road connectivity everywhere in the state. And we are also coming up with our 5th expressway, that is the Ganga Expressway. So this PPT will be shared. If you would like to know some other details, we would be more than glad to share with you. We have the National Waterway 1 in our state and on the river Ganges, which flows across one end of our state to the other. And that is more like a lifeline to the state. So next, please. So our USP is basically the abundant skilled labor. So we are home to most premier institutes, educational institutes like Iit Kanpur, IIM Lucknow, and others. We have a whole lot of 119 million working population, and our wage, the cost of wages is also quite less in the state. So this is one of our USPs, which actually entails a lot of, attracts a lot of investment into our state. So annually, we have around 2.5 million entrants regularly into the workforce. The next slide, you'll see that we have a single window clearance system, a digital platform by the name of Nivesh Mitra. We take all investment leads, investment opportunities, and all the applications online, sitting across anywhere in the globe. Anybody can see the kind of land bank that is available with us. They can apply online for all the NOCs to us, and we handhold and facilitate them to actually apply in various sectors that they're interested in investment in the state. And the investors are all the more welcome to invest in any of these 21 sectors in the state. And we have a commitment to give those time-bound facilitations to them. Next slide, please. Now, if you see, we have around 20 sectors. We have sector-specific policies, and I'll discuss only some of the few sectors here, which can be of interest to the listeners here. They are basically the electronics manufacturing, agriculture, and food processing. We have the textile sector, the electronic mobility, the defense and aerospace, and plus we welcome the mega plus, and the super mega investments into the state. So if we come on to the next one, we have recently brought in a whole lot of changes into our land policy, and we have a huge industrial land bank available in the state, which is more than 20,000 acres, which is ready to be used for industrial development. We have an online allotment of land procedure here, and this is also through the single window portal, the Nivesh Mitra. I would request my team to actually share the link of the Nivesh Mitra portal and of our website, so that if any investor is interested in some sector-specific details, so they can always get hold of all the policies and all the geos at one place. So as I would go ahead and say that we have a GIS portal which is in place for Pan-India, and UP is also onboarded in it. So we have around 8 authorities in the whole state, and each authority actually shows the kind of land that is available. And any investor who invests or shows an intent to invest or gives in an application, his applications are processed in a time-bound manner every month by the concerned authorities. So we have a customized policy also in cases of mega and super mega projects to provide land within 15 days in order to facilitate the investor through the general digitized route. So the FAR we have expanded this, increased it to 3.5 recently, and we generally are trying to make the land, because land is the prime component of any project. So we are trying to make the land availability as seamless as we can. In the next slide, you'll see some of the sectors, the opportunities where you can have. So I'll discuss all of them one by one in the coming slides. So there can be collaboration between UP and Germany in terms of these sectors. And even in the next, we have shown that there are several universities and educational academia ventures which can be looked into between Germany and UP. Now we come to the sector specific this thing in the next slide. First of all is the automotive sector. We have around 4 major OEM manufacturers. Then we have domestic as well as international companies establishing their manufacturing and R&D facilities in the state of Uttar Pradesh, especially in areas like Noida and Greater Noida. We have a huge skill base. And the electric mobility, the UP has a new electric mobility policy. We have this EV policy, which would actually increase opportunities for electric buses, the EV battery manufacturing, the charging stations, the commercial fleets, logistic vehicles, etc. In the electronics and IT ES policy, we have Noida, which is home to about 40% of India's total mobile manufacturing. 94 large mobile phone and component industries are situated here. And we are home to about 55% of India's mobile component manufacturers. 2,900 medium and small electronic units are established here. We have exported around 1.8 billion US dollar worth of electricals and electronic goods in 2019. And India's biggest beneficiary of PMP program. So in the electronics manufacturing policy, we give a capital subsidy of 15%, 25% land rebate to EMC, SPVs, ESDM parks, special incentives for the large ESDM units. So this is one sector where we are looking forward to some kind of exploring some kind of investment leads in electronic manufacturing, semiconductors manufacturing, R&D centers, both in IT and electronics, and some kind of a digital bridge for the startups. Coming to the next sector, we have the agriculture and the food processing sector. As I told you, we contribute to about 19% of India's total agri-export, and we export not only fruits, but even processed foods also from the state. We have around 1,800 cold storages with 142 lakh metric ton storage capacity. We have around 250 regulated agri markets, 170 which are expanding by the day. And apart from that, we have the dedicated food parks in the country. So the kind of incentives that we offer in this are the interest subsidies for 5 years, 100% stamp duty exemptions on purchase of land, 100% exemption of electricity duty for 10 years, and 25% capital subsidy on investment in plant and machinery. So the kind of opportunities that are available, the kind of population that we are dealing in, we need more cold chains, we need more warehouses, the retail chain sourcing, and apart from that, preservation and packaging, food parks, horticulture hubs, etc. And recently we will come out with a logistic and warehousing policy, which will actually support and this whole exercise further. So coming on to the next sector, the textile and the leather sector, we are the 3rd largest fabric manufacturing state in the country. 90% of India's total carpet production is in UP, and we have the 5th larger producer of silk and handlooms in India. Around 2.5 lakhs handloom weavers in the state. Apart from that, we are a major garmenting cluster in Noida with around 3,000 units situated there. And 32% of total India's exports in the leather products is from India. So in the apparel sector, in the textile sector, in the leather sector, we have a whole lot of scope for investment. And basically, we can see some kind of leads in the training, the research and designing, and just competing with the new designing part of it, and investment into these sectors, especially the skill training of our local craftsmen and others. These are some areas in which we can actually go ahead. And apart from that, we have been building some, trying to get in some textile parks also on the basis, on the lines of the French townships. So we have one or two already in place, and these are some of the opportunities which we look forward to through our relationship with you. So coming to the aviation, defense, and aerospace sector, we already have around, please move on to the next slide. So in the aviation, defense, and aerospace sector, we already are housing around 13 defense PSUs, or ordnance factories of the government of India in the state of Uttar Pradesh. There is already a production of steel castings, forgings, caliber guns, and small arms, technical, textiles, and other carbines, etc. in the state, which can be extended. So we are coming up with an MRO complex, which will be first of its kind in India, in the Jewar International Airport, which is under construction and which has been awarded to a Swiss company in Noida. So the largest upcoming defense corridor is also here. So we are looking forward to opportunities in aerospace parks, the joint ventures in ammunition manufacture, the drone manufacturing, MRO contractors, and some kind of establishment of centers of excellence and OEM manufacturing in these defense corridor areas in Bundelkhand. So these were some small snapshots into the kind of work that we are doing here in UP, and I'm more than happy to share that we are actually tailoring our policies and programs as per the customized needs of the investors, and all investments are more than welcome into the state, and I would be happy, and my team would be happy to answer any of your queries in this regard. So I think I've surpassed my timelines of 20 minutes in a slight way. But anyhow, thank you so much for listening patiently to me.
Thank you, Ms. Sharma, for your presentation and giving us insights on the opportunities in Uttar Pradesh state. Now I would like, and ma'am, Q&A session will be done in the, at the end of the session, with after having a presentation from Aditya and from the MIIM side. So Aditya, we would like to welcome our new, next presenter, Mr. Aditya Sharma, Executive Senior Vice President Asia for Boson Energy. He is responsible for entry into Asian markets and facilitating strategic tie-ups with focus on Indian subcontinent and Southeast Asia. Aditya leads the Asia strategic market development efforts on gasification of municipal solid waste and woody waste into hydrogen, power, or useful thermal energy. He is also president of Indian Business Chamber of Luxembourg, and he has been member of Central Advisory Board for World Expo 2021. Over to you, Aditya. You are on mute, Aditya.
Sorry, hello. I convey my greetings to everyone from Luxembourg. We have a presence in Germany as well, and I'm based out of Luxembourg. So is my screen visible, please?
Yes, it's visible. Can you go on PPT mode?
Yeah, sure. I think it's processing. Sorry. Okay. So has this come up? The screen?
Can you duplicate the?
Okay.
Yeah. Aditya, we are seeing the projector view.
Are you able to see my screen? Sorry.
We are seeing the projector view, so you have to duplicate the slideshow.
Okay. Just a minute, please. I shall do that. Have to come out a little. Sorry about this, but I need to go into my settings to do this.
There is a view option on the, once you start the PowerPoint presentation, there is a view option. You can change on that also.
Sorry, through the PowerPoint. No, just help me, please, a little bit guide me on this.
Or should I share the screen? Aditya, it's ready with me.
Okay, please go ahead. Thank you. Sorry, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, Aditya, over to you.
Okay, sure. So, welcome everyone. As I mentioned that we have a presence in Germany and I'm based in Luxembourg. Our headquarters is Luxembourg. We started looking at India about in 2015 seriously. And before I explain that how we went through this rigorous screening process, I'd also like to spend a little bit is that what we have been trying to achieve. So next slide, please. Yeah, so our journey began with Namami Gange. At one point of time, which was early in 2015, we decided that we will go for Namami Gange project and see that how can we contribute it. We come in as a company which, sorry, Ketan, when I'll raise my handles like this, please, then you may change it. So maybe you can change it.
Okay.
Yeah, the slide. Yeah. So, so we started looking at Namami Gange, and as you may be knowing that Ganges River is one of the largest river basin in the world, and it requires a lot of attention in terms of environment improvement, cleaning, etc. And we came in as a company which is bringing in high-end technology, which will help clean up the waste which is otherwise escaping into water bodies and rivers and are the primary or source of the pollution. Yeah, so this slide mentions about what type of pollution which gets into river, and it comes from various sources. The source which we have been able to take care of or have proposed to take care of has been with respect to two type of waste. One is municipal solid waste, which escapes into water due to rain activities, or sometimes they are just because of negligence or lack of knowledge are dumped into water bodies and through rains, and otherwise it escapes into rivers. And then there are also agricultural overflow. Then there are sort of industrial waste which are sometimes directly dumped into the rivers by the industrial units. So what we do as a company, that we look at all of these, we understand the impact what it causes on the environment, and we bring in a technology which will help completely destroy the waste with what we call is that thermochemical reaction, or normally known as gasification. Yeah, so give you you know, an overall sense of what it is that India produces is 72,000 tons, urban India, 72,000 tons of waste per day, all the cities combined. And if we take overall India, it's quite higher than that, possibly 4 times more than that. Now, normally, assuming that India is treating all of its waste through the traditional route of incineration, which is basically a burn it down, then whatever waste is incinerated, it generates around 20 to 30% of incineration ash. And there is practically no space to store these ash, because India will run out of space. As we already know that Delhi doesn't have space anymore of storing its incineration ash of the plants which are running. Right, Uttar Pradesh has got some, but as the way the trend is going on, the humanity as such will not have space to store incineration ash. So some other solution to waste needs to be found out. Putting it in landfill is just a temporary arrangement. We all know that's not doable. It's extremely damaging to environment because of the leachate overrun into the rivers, into the water bodies. And we have seen the example of Gazipur, how the leachate runoffs happened to it. And we already know that Delhi's largest dairy farm is in the same uh, con, campus or same locality where the landfill is there. Even the meat industry which supplies meat to Delhi is just at the same campus where the landfill is there. And we have the occasion of visiting that couple of times and study the grave situation it causes. So this is the context that we have been, into. And this context requires looking at things differently, um, looking at things in a way where what we are trying to bring in, um, the state government, first of all, the country will be, reciprocating or open to receive it, and secondly, that the state government should also show interest in what we are and understand it. So what we are talking about is that local waste, we see that it has a local value, and if it can go through the technology which we are talking about, energy could be extracted out of it. And currently we are talking about extracting hydrogen out of it. When we started, we were more talking about converting that into electricity or thermal energy at that point of time. And since last year, we have little bit revisited our model when we are now going to convert that waste into hydrogen. And that hydrogen can get into municipality buses or their trucks, the delivery trucks, the garbage trucks. All of that could be supported with that. And at the end of it, after the gasification process is a high temperature process in absence of air or oxygen, so it's highly controlled. So what we have got output is a vitrified ash, which is like a ceramic tiles material. It's completely inert, and it could be used for like making tiles, for filling roads, and it doesn't as such leak out. So that is what we call it as imbi rock. Sorry, yeah. So what we do is that we are talking about bringing all of these in a sustainable way, and we call it complying fully with the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. And we know that India has also adopted it and has actually, Niti Aayog has prepared the targets for Sustainable Development Goals. And our objective has been that to look for a state where we can create maximum impact. And we know that in India, UP being the most populous state, UP has got a significant number of population staying quite close to poverty line, and and on the other hand, that it has it is contributing in terms of agriculture, and it is also a source of pollution. So we thought that if we want to showcase what we bring in and the impact what it can bring to the society, UP could become one of the good destination state to look into. So UP got shortlisted on that ground along with a couple of other states also. And in UP, then we started looking closely at Kanpur, which I'll explain later on as we progress along. So briefly again to go back into it, that the key drivers in our selection process has been that we bring in a first mile solution, which means that where we treat the waste and we extract the energy and we find the customer of that energy there itself. So it's not that you generate energy about 25 kilometers or 50 kilometers away from where the consumer is, because if that be the case, then there is a additional challenge of investing into creating the infrastructure to transfer or not to transport energy from point A to point B, and sometimes and many times there are losses in this. Normally when we know that India there is a long range transmission of power, the loss of power can go to the extent of 20%. Is in the transmission, and there are some distribution losses as well, which could be 5 to 7%. So to avoid all of that, what we have got is something called first mile solution, where we treat a challenge, we give the results or the benefits very close to that, so that we avoid the transporter or transmission or transfer challenges. And I think the rest of the points on this I've already spoken. Next, please. So this is the overall plan which we presented. This is just one of the overscheme to Namami Gange officials when we participated in India Water Impact Summit. The first time it was in 2016. And thereafter in 2017, 2018 and 2019, it's an annual event normally held in Vigyan Bhavan in Delhi, where international experts are called, high profile officials from Government of India, Ministry of Jal Shakti, they attended, and we listened to them, and we have presented there that this is what we desire to achieve. All these little dots are like a cluster of plants, so each dot is a plant, and we want to create a cluster of plants, and we call it distributed solution. So take care of the waste which will otherwise escape into water body and through that into rivers, and provide a treatment to them at source itself, right, to avoid it. So we have shown here a couple of cities like Delhi, Kanpur, Prayagraj, Varanasi, Patna, Kolkata are the locations, major hubs which we have identified, and we started talking to decision makers in all of these cities. So in Delhi and Kolkata was more sort of advanced. Then we have visited Varanasi and met up there. Kanpur, we have been there, and Prayagraj has been more over online discussion, and Patna has to start off. So sort of this was the idea that it started with. Yeah. Now, when we decide about selection of any destination or state, we also need to see that the state meets something what we call internally the 360 degree test. Means the state should reflect with its action and policies, adequate commitment to climate change objectives. Yet should have commitment to have the infrastructure creation, and can understand that what infrastructure impact could be brought when the challenge of waste is addressed. The state should have in its the DNA of circular economy thinking, and it should adequately care for health, safety, and environment in the state. And then also comes in that profit and loss is more of our internal point, that we should be able to make profit out of the engagement which will take up. And we also look at life cycle, that what we talk about is considered by state in a complete life cycle way. Like Like for example, like what we mean by life cycle way is that when currently, say the waste is treated in many states in India, then it is just saying that we take the waste and we incinerate it and we generate some electricity. That's it. No one thinks that after generation of electricity, what happens with the residue waste or the incineration waste, where it goes. Um, Most of the time we have seen that the incinerators say, that is someone else's responsibility, or maybe the state's responsibility to take care of whatever happens to that. To us, it's a no-no situation, because we cannot do a business in one focused area and create problem for some other area. That's not. So that is what called life cycle approach. So that's very important for us to interact with the decision makers, the bureaucrats in the states, various states, and to understand that how they look at this issue. Okay. So what happens is that I'll say a massive journey, began. And why it began, there is a little bit of information behind it. When we started trying to understand India and Indian states out of reading the leading publications, be it India or abroad, there are global, then we sort of got an impression that this is a highly risky place because of number of things they have been writing. And when we listen to a couple of global CEOs, like be it Tim Cook and a couple of others, then we found that they are praising, or Cisco CEO who has retired now, global Cisco CEO, they have been talking very positive about India. And then my CEO and chairman, and he's founder of the company, he's a Swedish gentleman. He had some idea about India and he wanted to understand that why there is so much of divergence, that what we read in a sort of global reliable media and what we hear, there is a divergence. The media tends to give it a portray undue share of negativity about India or Indian states, especially about Uttar Pradesh. So we are reading more about that. So we thought that we have to spend more time on ground, go and be the part of big events and hear to the bureaucrats and the decision makers. So the first point for us was that attending Make in India big event in Hanover, where Prime Minister Modi had come over, and it was really impressive. To say in few words to what India brought in onto that and the interactions with everyone. And then we followed it up by visiting Mumbai, and there was a big Make in India show there as well. And we heard there, as you can see, global CEOs, I think Cisco CEO is on the dais now, and he talking very highly about what India is doing in energy sector. So we also came to know of some data and all, and then how India looks into this. We can go on to the next. We had the occasion of spending time with senior professionals from India, be it in West India. Then there is the Engineering Excellence Promotion Council, EEPC India, they call it. You could see some of the global CEOs here. CEO of Thermex India, Mr. MS Unikrishnan, is in the picture, and we may see Mr. Bhashin. He has been the chairman of EEPC India at that point of time, and other senior officials, and had a good interactions with all of them. And I think as many times MIIM officials we have been interacting as well in these events. Yeah, so we have got Make in India, Mittelstand. So we started interacting with them then, and therefore became part of MIIM at that point of time. Be it Hanover or Düsseldorf, the interactions continued. Yeah. Then we started visiting number of states. So this has been Gujarat Investor Summit. It's called Vibrant Gujarat, where I'm being hosted by Senior Vice President of Adani USA, Mr. Sudipta Bhattacharya, and we saw how different states are presenting themselves and what they are bringing to the table. So we attended Investor Summit at Telangana as well, and then it was Jharkhand. Now, I must say that if we can go back to Jharkhand, please, um, the previous one. So I must say that these states which I'm talking about, all of them brought in very, compulsive or influencing arguments on the table. And what we also saw that um, the fiscal and the other benefits which they are offering are sort of similar. Means one may not differentiate much about it. There are some fiscal benefits, more or less they are saying. There will be some varieties, and we also found out that each state has got its own strength. And when you interact with them at the investor summit, of course, it all comes out quite well. So this evaluation process has to go deeper. Evaluation process has to be a little bit different than that as well. So in addition to interacting with these officials from the government and trying to understand what message the chief ministers are giving, we also started interacting with the companies which are operating there and the institutions which are working there, try to get a better feel of what it is. Yeah. So we heard that Miss Neena Sharma talked about Iit Kanpur. So I had the occasion of visiting Kanpur and staying overnight there for 1 or 2 days in the campus. Visit everywhere, look at their lab. My CEO and I both visited it. We had the opportunity of spending time at India Expo Center in Greater Noida, where we attended a Reinvest conference, which was very well organized. And all these conferences, convey, what India has, where it has come in, and the capability of state in organizing these events quite well, and how they do it. And in this context, I'll try to bring in one little example. When we started the journey in 2015 or 16, I think there was one conference by one of the leading organizations of India. I will not take their name, in Mumbai. I'll just say that much. And they were talking about the engineering excellence which India has got. And the venue is they had brought in all the foreign delegates from everywhere, and they had actually paid for our flight fare and had put it up in the five-star hotels as a
Aditya,
overseas delegates as a part of
Aditya,
this.
sorry to interrupt, but we are actually crossing the time here. So just being a
Okay,
timekeeper
okay, fine.
as a timekeeper,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. So I will move on to the next one, please. So this is what we have been interacting with Uttar Pradesh and trying to have understood it well. This is a conference. We, if you can go to the next one, please. So this is the numbers which we have got in, which has been impressive enough. Next one. We started, if you can see, both the leaders who are there on the screen are the leaders we started interacting with. On the left, we have got EIB European Investment Bank of India Managing Director, Donald, and then we have got NTPC Managing Director on the right, Mr. Singh, and we had they started emerging as our potential partners. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, and then this is NTPC Complex. We had interactions. We had our partner Terry. We interacted with him, and we have signed MOU, and they are with us. Number of things. Our CEO is on the picture. Next, please. Okay, so and this is what which helped us in the process. In the background, we were building, depending on this all these interactions and the feedback which we are collecting, the numbers, at how the numbers will add up, because I have discussed about profit and loss at some point of time, and this is how the numbers started to build up. What will bring in next? Okay, so we have come to the point where we shortlisted Kanpur, Varanasi, Prayagraj, Ayodhya, Lucknow, and we started that we will go with Kanpur as the first city, which is also the first Ganges city, and there are the specific locations which were identified. A site visit was done, and a couple of other, and then we have got India partners, as I said, through that process, what we mentioned about started emerging out of it, and we started putting it in. Next, please. Okay, so this is what it is. Thank you. So we have done, that's why we have to come stage, and we have been awarded by Namami Gange onto this, and this is, and we are into the next step of, making this investment happening on the ground. So what we always feel is that this process is far more rigorous than the process of building a plant, which is we see more as a logistic exercise, which is a matter of facts of just interacting and sorting out the administrative hassles. So that's what we see has been the most important part of us. So I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya, for excellent presentation on how you've selected the basically the giving overview of Boson Energy and the process of your India journey, and how you selected the UP. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to give you a brief introduction of MIIM program before we go into Q&A session. MIIM is an initiative of Embassy of India since 2000, Embassy of India in Berlin since 2015. It's a free of cost and unique business support program for German Mittelstand and family-owned companies to facilitate their investment in India. MIIM has built up a network of program partners, including government and private agencies, to support member companies during India entry and expansion activities. Best-in-class partners have been selected after extensive due diligence, considering the potential challenges companies could face during the India entry or expansion activities. So you can see there are state partners, there is a knowledge partner from management consultant ASC, there is a tax and legal partner from India and Germany, Ketan and Company, and Rural and partner. We also have banking partners with us. We also have Chamber of Commerce as our partner and technology partner Geeta in India. What are the services of MIIM is basically first is the hotline email account wherein any company or even member companies can approach us for to clarify on any queries they are facing during the India activities. We conduct regular workshops and webinars which are free of cost and open for all the companies. These webinars have been the workshops has been not conducted due to the COVID-19 situation this year, but on webinars we have covered most of the market entry related as well as tax and legal topics during this year. We also have customized workshops wherein if you require any guidance on any particular topic, we can conduct a customized workshop for you. And then there is also a networking event we conduct every year. The enrollment process is very simple. It's basically we need to understand your India plans. What are your India plans? What is the investment you are planning in India? Then we will conduct a call together with Embassy of India and Embassy of India representatives, and based on the understanding of your India plans and what support we can provide, we onboard you as a member. As of now, we have 150 members onboarded, which have declared around 1,370 million euro of investments, which includes 68 manufacturing plants, 28 expansions, 26 subsidiaries. And out of this 1.4 billion euro, we have already implemented 437 million euro in India, which includes 20 manufacturing plants, 6 expansions, and 498 million euro is under progress. It's under implementation, which includes 14 manufacturing plants and 4 expansions. So now we would like to open our session for our forum for Q&A session. If you have any questions, please click on raised hand icon and we can unmute you to take up your questions. So we have one question from Mr. Shashank Mishra. What are your thoughts on CGIT city in Lucknow? If I am not wrong, there is a lot of space to invite more IT and ITES companies. So what is any thoughts or any remarks on this, Ms. Sharma? You're on mute, Ms. Sharma.
Yeah, I'm audible?
Yes.
Yeah, the CG city in Lucknow has a whole lot of area, that's absolutely true. But then this area is basically belongs to another government department. They are already taken a lot of that area for public services like the Cancer Memorial Hospitals and other buildings are coming up there. We have in the adjacent land to the Chakkajaria city, the HCL premises, which is another IT company and which is kind of a township which has come up in a big way. So there are a whole lot of areas in that, and we can recommend or your suggestion to the IT department of the state and seek their advice on this.
Thank you, Ms. Sharma, for your answer. I don't see any hands raised, so I don't think there are any further questions. So I would like to thank Ms. Neena Sharma for joining this webinar today. Thank you very much, Aditya Sharma, for giving us excellent presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to for your queries. In case you have any, you can write us on MIIM@indianembassy.de on our hotline, or you can reach to the respective speakers of today's webinar on their contact details that they will be sharing the presentation. I'll share the recorded link and also the presentation shared by both the speakers over the email. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar again, and I look forward to welcome you all for the next webinar of MIIM. Thank you and have a nice day.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you
Pleasure
so
being
much.
there. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.